My first time I tried to kill somebody was at 16, and I tell a lie, I was at 14, and that was with the skinheads, and down at the carnivals, and just saying to these bikers, one step closer, and I'm just going to shoot you. And that's the first time I really felt I wanted to really damage somebody, because I've been getting pushed about that you're useless, you're not mine, you're not wanted, and I've just been hurt so much that this was my retaliation. And so that was me hardening up and starting to think of me, poor self, and scared of being hurt, so I started to hurt others so that I wouldn't be hurt.
Between the ages of 14 and 29, Eddie spent 11 years of his life in prison on sentences for assault, theft and robbery.
Even though I was put in prison, I would still try and be my own man, and they would try and get me to buckle under, which made me even more angry and more violent. And I would damage other people. And one officer I attacked with a chair. In my cell, I would smash the windows. They were actually scared to come into my cell because I was just going to do so much damage with them. In these days, I was put down, felt useless, not accepted, rejected, and couldn't express my feelings. And I just thought I was useless. Nobody wanted me. My favourite song was I'm Nobody's Child. And I used to sing it all the time. And I couldn't read and write. I had no confidence. Scared to sit down and apply for a job because they're going to ask you to fill in an application form. That would cause so much insecurity and problems in me. And there was a handicap. So even though I wasn't physically handicapped, mentally I had a big handicap in my life. And I was a dreamer. I wanted to achieve things in life. But because of the kind of character inside that was insecure, no value, no confidence, I just couldn't put myself into a position to get beyond that. All the confidence I had was the ability to handle myself. My granddad was one of these old-fashioned street fighters, and he taught me so much in boxing and all that kind of stuff in karate that it was the only thing I loved doing. And it's the only thing I was accepted for, even through my violence. That was my acceptance.
Because Eddie couldn't read or write, all his letters had to be read to him. So when a prison officer waited until Christmas Day to read him a Dear John letter from his wife, telling him she was leaving him and going back to England, it was the last straw.
So a steak knife went missing from the kitchen, and for 3 days, every time I went to get the officer, the other officers would close ranks so that I couldn't penetrate. And on the third day, I was a lot thinner then, but on the third day I just thought, this is it, I've nothing to get out for, there's no point in living anymore, this is when I'm going to really do it. And I just went, and this guy walked past me, and the only thing he'd done wrong at that time was he had an English accent. And because my wife was English, and because she gave me a Dear John, I just walked into a cell, one guy damaged, 2 officers down, riot bells goes off, I'm put in solitary confinement, I'm chained for the legs so that I can't kick. I've got chains around my arms so that I can't punch, and I've got a Y-fronts, and I'm sitting in a cell with a white paper table and a white paper chair so that I can't hurt anybody. And outside the door was 4 officers with the full riot gear, shield sticks, and wherever I went, they went with me to make sure nobody got damaged. And I remember sitting there in 1987, the 40th of January, in amongst all the human muck it was there and all this stuff, and there was a knock at my door, Friday night, 6 o'clock, and I just thought, here we go, here's round 2 coming. And this little wee guy walked in with a toothpaste collar and said, God sent me, God cares for you, God loves you. And I just thought, this guy's, something wrong with this guy, speaks about love. And I basically told him to wrap up. And his response for a little wee minister was, why don't you just shut up and grow up? And when he was a baby, King Herod was going to murder him, so he knows what your rejection feels like. And when he grew up, they laughed at him, they despised him, so he knows what your insecurities feel like. Why don't you get a life? Because he hung on the cross and died just for you. And he just closed his Bible and walked out, and I felt as though I went 2 rounds with Tyson. You know, like, whew, someone got through all the fronts, all the things I put up, someone got through and gave a bit of hope to me. I was so selfish. I couldn't think about anybody else. The reason I was in jail was because of me. The reason my marriage failed was because of me. The reason that it happened was because all I thought about was me stealing this, doing this. And I never took on responsibility for me. So that my whole life was caught up in me. This guy came in and hurt me with the truth. Why don't you just grow up and get a life? And that's 17 years ago. My life has been difficult because I've had to take on responsibility of dealing with my issues. The first time in my life I felt loved. It's an unusual feeling if you've never felt love, but it's like a love comes into your life, something real was happening, and then I started to care for myself. I started to care for my actions, so I was taking on responsibility. And when you start changing, you go so far down the road, and when you look back, you think, I can't do this. And my first time going into church was at the Abbey Fellowship, sitting there, and I turned around to the guy and said, who are you? Well, I'm a police officer. And I says, I'm a doctor. And I just thought, they're too middle class, I don't fit in here. So you've got it in your head to start with, and then you find out it's a heap of rubbish. You know, it's just you. There's no such a thing as an ex. You're a human being, it's made a mess, and you're just a human being. The quicker you get back into who you are, the ex has got no right to control your life.
Now Eddie works as an evangelical pastor. However, there were occasions when, because of his past, people tried to make his new life as difficult as possible.
I moved into some areas, and I was a policeman phoned a few neighbours and said, you've got some character coming in here. It took a lot of pressure on us when we found out through the months, but it turned out the opposite. People know who we are, what we are like, that we're normal, we're real, and we've won an awful lot of good friends here and other places I moved into. And then I was doing a thing with families that was really damaged, and we took them away for the weekend, and I got a phone call from a police officer, and it must have been somebody that had done an awful lot of damage to. And he says, what right have you got to do what you're doing today to help other people? What right have you got to share what you've got now because of what you did? And I says, look, I'm not being cheeky with you, but I'm putting the phone down because this is not my problem. This is your problem. You need to deal with it. I work in, I would say, one of the worst areas in Aberdeen, which is Maastricht, for the violence. There's a shopping centre there I'm starting to build into, and people are scared to come out in the evening, especially a Thursday, Friday and Saturday, because the young folk get so much alcohol. I've even seen the people in the shop coming out with baseball bats and that to push the kids away because they're so petrified of the young people when they're drunk and the violence. Doing that kind of stuff and meeting them on the street, chatting with them, getting involved in some of their fighting, just breaking up the fights. A lot of the kids have handed certain things over to me. These are air guns, and when that hits somebody, it could do quite a lot of damage. I find most of the people that carry guns is because they're not hard cases, it's because they're scared. They're scared inside, and that's their confidence. This is their security for carrying these things, and it's always the innocent person that's going to walk into a situation and it gets hurt. And that's the sad thing. But the key thing is to try and get to the families and educate the families and to work with us so that we can try and save some of these young kids from doing silly things or wasting their life, or they're going to do something they're going to regret for the rest of their life. And I'm very hard and direct. And when I go into work with families, and I've got the right to speak at that level because they say that where you've been, you've earned it. And it gives them a hope seeing me there. And so it gives them also confidence that folk can change. Hi guys, only me, Sadie. How you doing?
Hi, fine.
Hiya.
Hiya.
What's your name?
It's Ross.
Hi Ross, pleased to meet you, mate. Hiya. I get the right to share religion because I go in and win a relationship with the person. The person knows my background, he knows reality in my life, and they ask me the questions. And we're actually seeing the kids now that's been so unruly for a young kid, we're actually seeing them taking on responsibility in the home, see them taking responsibility in the Sunday school, and we're starting to see good results. Without the faith, I would be probably doing life a double life a day. I wouldn't be outside enjoying what I've got. And what I've got today, you can't buy, it's freedom. He's standing this morning, he wants to change, Lord, and I just... I'm free from the mess that I committed. I'm free from the guilt. I'm free from the shame I used to walk about with. It's my whole life.